Hey, it's Julia Fiaioni, senior producer of your favorite weekday conversation. You're going to want to listen closely. I've got some tips on how you can get more out of CityCast Portland right now by signing up to be an official CityCast Portland neighbor. That's the new name for the CityCast Portland membership program, with benefits that will make you feel more connected to our wonderfully complicated city, all while you're directly supporting our show, like the coolest neighbor on the block. You'll have exclusive invites to members-only events, things like local tours, volunteer meetups, and happy hours with other neighbors who love to love Portland. You'll also get a curated weekly list of what's going on around town, ad-free episodes on the special Neighbors feed, a thank you on air, and a shout out to your favorite local business or nonprofit. And if you join this week, we want to give you an extra big thank you by sending you our brand new CityCast Portland Neighbor coffee mug, so you'll be sipping alongside us every morning. So head over to membership.citycast.fm today to become a CityCast Portland neighbor. That's membership.citycast.fm.
You can make a difference in someone's life, including your own, with a job in home care. These jobs offer flexible schedules, healthcare, retirement options, and free training. They also provide paid time off and opportunities for overtime. Visit OregonHomeCareJobs.com to learn more and apply. That's OregonHomeCareJobs.com.
Today on CityCast Portland, we're talking about Governor Tina Kotek eyeing a portion of the kicker tax rebate for wildfire costs, TriMet's latest idea for preventing fare evasion, an Oregon train ride that promises some of the best night sky watching, and so much more, because we're bringing you 6 headlines in under 6 minutes. Plus, we're also diving into our mailbag and hearing from you, our listeners. Joining me on this midweek roundup is our very own executive producer, John Notarianni. It's Wednesday, May 21st. I'm Claudia Meza, and this is what Portland's talking about. Welcome, everyone, to our midweek roundup. John, thanks for joining me this morning.
Well, good morning, Claudia. It's nice to see you.
Really? Is it?
It is. Every morning.
Aww.
Smile to my face.
Well, there were so many stories to consider this week that John and I have decided to share 6 headlines. But the only way we're going to get through that is by timing each other. We get under a minute to explain the most crucial parts, and then we discuss. But before John and I get into our timed microdose of news, which is quickly becoming my favorite vehicle for sharing news, by the way.
You just like ways to make this more stressful, is what I've learned.
Okay, you know what's funny is the only way my mother could get me to do anything is by saying, can you do it under a minute? And I think that it's trained my brain that now whenever I'm like, oh man, I have to do the dishes, I'm like, but could I do them under 5 minutes? Flip a script, John.
Just turn it into a game.
Yeah, I got played a lot as a child. Okay, so before John and I get into our timed microdose of news, just a big thank you to everyone withstanding our spring membership campaign. We know how tiring it is to hear the same thing over and over, because imagine having to say it. But here's why we interrupt our show every day asking you to become a CityCast Portland neighbor. There's a lot of uncertainty in the world right now, uncertainty about how things are going in our democracy, down to the uncertainty of what things are going to cost. And that is hard for a lot of industries, but especially ones that rely on advertising. So membership is a critical way that we're navigating that uncertainty and making certain that we keep bringing you this show, because we love making this show free for all. And if you want to support, but you're just like, I just don't have it, you know, you can still help us out by saying something nice about us. You can share it in a review, or you can forward one of your favorite episodes to a friend or a coworker that might dig it. Anything really helps. Like, check out this sweet review, John, that someone left for us on Apple Pods. Mm-hmm. They wrote, CityCast Portland is one of my favorite podcasts. I think of it as a great magazine I can listen to. It's got timely local news and commentary mixed with fun features about local restaurants, bars, cultures, and activities. It's also pretty much my primary source of local news, which is troubling to me, John. And I love how the wonderful host, producers, and guest journalists make the news detailed yet digestible. I get a lot of conversation topics from it, which leads me to recommend it to lots of my friends. Keep up the great work, team. It's like I wrote that one for us. Do you know what I mean? Like if I was trying to sell the show, I'm just like, and another thing. But anyhow, that's a totally free way of supporting us. And for those with the extra $10 a month that can help keep us going, boy, does John have a sweet looking mug for you.
We've got the mugs. Yeah, we understand that sometimes a little extra incentive helps to make that jump to putting your credit card number in. Yeah, we've got a really beautiful limited edition CityCast Neighbors mug that we are going to be shipping out to everybody who signs up for this membership drive. Cannot be bought in stores. This is a one-off limited edition way to get in and, make all your friends jealous, which that's kind of a nice perk too. And there's also a ton of other perks that you get as a member as well. We're going to be doing a lot more events this year. You'll be getting exclusive invites to that, ad-free listening on this podcast, and just so much more as well.
Yeah. And we know ad-free listening is important to a lot of you. So head over to membership.citycast.fm to get that mug. That's membership.citycast.fm. Okay. Now for your microdose of news. John, do you want to kick it off?
Yeah, this is from Vasily Valarmos at K2, talking about TriMet. You want to give me a countdown?
Yeah, hold on. 3, 2, 1, go.
Okay, TriMet facing a $74 million budget shortfall in the upcoming fiscal year, plus a fiscal cliff coming in 2031. They need money, and they've been seeing a real bump in fare evasion. A lot less people are just paying to ride on TriMet than they used to maybe 5 or 6 years ago. Well, there is an option that they are considering, adding more fare gates, preventing people from boarding without paying. TriMet Chief Safety Officer Andrew Wilson told K2 they might be looking at systems similar to being what's used in New York and LA, focusing on grade-separated stops, think like the light rail. They already have a pilot at the Hollywood Transit Center where you need to have a fare to enter the elevator. They're thinking that this could help patch the budget, although it would be quite expensive to implement. And in addition to bringing in more money, this goes to some of the concerns that people have about safety on TriMet as well. So this is an idea that's being kicked around.
Nice. You went a little over, but you know what? I'm not going to dock your pay. Okay. So my story is from the Oregonian. It's about stargazing. All right.
How delightful. All right. Here we go. Ready?
Okay.
3, 2, 1, go.
You might remember that sometime last year we shared that Dark Sky International named Southern Oregon's Lake County the largest dark sky sanctuary in the world. And now this year, National Geographic has named the Oregon Coast Scenic Railroad's Moonlight Excursion Train one of the best train rides in the U.S. for stargazing. It ranked 4th among 10 U.S. train rides, with Santa Fe Sky Railway, New Mexico coming in as number 1. Ticket price is $72 and includes 2 drinks. You get a choice of Pelican Brew beer or Nehalem Bay wine. The 3-hour round trip rides from Garibaldi and travels along Tillamook Bay as the sun sets. It's 21 and over, and I now have a new summer goal.
Time, 45 seconds. I love this, and I'm all on board because it sounds amazing. Oh my gosh, I want to do that so much. This is like total summer bucket list amazingness. Right? Okay. Oh my gosh, cool. All right, you want me to take a spin at another one? I've got one from Jonathan Bach over at the Oregonian, ready for my countdown.
3, 2, 1, start.
Okay, so the city launched the North-Northeast Neighborhood Housing Strategy back in 2015 to try and deal with the fact that we've had horrible gentrification for decades in Portland that has displaced a huge amount of Black neighborhoods, and they are trying to rectify that. There's been $135 million that has gone in, helping families staying housed, creating affordable rentals. All good, right? Well, there is a problem with this program. Basically, the way that these affordable apartments have been administered has led to a number of them sitting empty at any given time. Developers are reporting up to 11% vacancy with over 3,000 names on the list, and people just have not been able to get through the complex application process. There are fixes that are trying to be applied. They are looking to fix the wait list. There is a lot of effort towards changing this, but it is a problem where we have this great program, but because of the way that it's being administered, we're preventing people from being able to use it. Oh, I ran out of time. How'd I do?
Not good.
But yeah, I mean, if I could just sort of cheat a little bit, I mean, it is just sort of a great example of how really well-intentioned and even well-funded things can sort of go sideways if there isn't the right sort of process behind it to make it happen.
I feel like this is an ongoing trend with Portland programs is beautiful intention, terrible infrastructure, not much follow through. I wish we could just figure that out amongst ourselves. Everyone has a tough job. I don't think any city administrator wakes up in the morning and it's just like, I'm going to do a terrible job. Everyone is trying their goddamn best. So we just got to figure this out, people.
Yeah. And I will say, if it got lost in my panic at the end of that blurb, there are efforts underway to fix this, and they're hoping that some of these fixes will be in by August.
Oh, good.
The next one I'll be able to get through quicker, but first, you're under the gun.
Okay. This one comes from Oregon Capitol Chronicle. It's about the youths wanting to vote.
All right. Counting you in. 3, 2, 1, go.
Oregon students are pushing lawmakers to pass a bill to allow them to vote in school board elections. House Bill 3012, introduced earlier this year, would allow 16 and 17-year-olds to vote in nonpartisan school board elections starting in 2029. Advocates for the bill met outside the Oregon Capitol this Monday, one day before school board elections take place across Oregon to rally support of this bill. Oregon automatically registers 16 and 17-year-olds when they obtain driver's licenses. They do not receive a ballot until they are 18. 150 letters of testimony were submitted so far in opposition to the bill, while 211 were submitted in favor. Supporters of the bill says it promotes the democratic process.
Seconds.
And the opponents say the youth are too immature to pick their own school board. That's all I got.
Nicely done. Showing us how it's done. Breaking down a complex issue in under a minute.
You know what, John? If your mother also slightly traumatized you as a child, I still hear the timer in my head.
Well, I'm glad I can fill that role for you, I guess. No, it's just a super interesting day to be thinking about this because, of course, as this podcast comes out on Wednesday morning, we will have just seen a lot of action on a lot of voting here in Portland based on some school issues, the bond, the new school board members. So, yeah, interesting to see if this passes and if kids have their shot at it next time around.
I hope they do. No one's voting. Like, you know how the turnout is so low for these school boards? Let the children vote.
Let the children vote.
Let the children vote. 16 to 17. I remember being 16 and 17. I read books. Also, I didn't know this, but 21 states already allow 17-year-olds to vote in primaries if they're going to be 18 by the general election.
That makes sense. I've got one more from Dirk Vanderhart at OPB, and I am primed and ready to keep this one short.
Okay. 3, 2, 1, start.
Okay, we love kicking around the kicker on this show, the tax rebate that comes every 2 years from the state government. Well, the governor is now finally poking at potentially withholding some of that kicker money to fund wildfire prevention efforts. There is a big hole in the state budget right now, and there is potentially $1.6 billion in kicker refunds coming. The governor has proposed taking away some of that kicker, especially from high earners, to pay for this wildfire prevention effort. She's putting it out as a rural aid effort, saying that urban residents who benefit from the kicker aren't in fire-prone areas. So it's sort of helping to spread the cost across the state. Of course, trying to change the use of the kicker funds requires a 2/3 majority in both chambers of the Oregon legislature, which is going to be really difficult to come by. But the idea has been raised. Done.
Nice. With a second to spare.
Got it.
Did it, John.
What do you think, Claudia? I know that you are one of the biggest fans of the kicker tax rebate. You love it so much.
I do. I really adore it.
You think it's such great policy.
It's such a beautiful piece of law. Well, I'm curious how she's going to do it because in the law it states, Governor Kotek cannot do this.
Well, yeah. I mean, she would need to convince the legislature to do it, and Republicans have made it pretty clear that, they're not going to go for it. But she is floating the idea.
It's smart. Honestly, that's what public funds, public money should be going to. And if you're just like, what's the kicker?
Listen back to last Friday's roundup when we talked about that.
Yeah, if you want a refresher on what the kicker is, listen to last Friday's roundup. We get into it. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Last one. Ready to go.
I'm so excited. Okay, this one's from Willamette Week, and it's about a poll.
All right. 3, 2, 1, go.
Polling conducted last month says roughly 2/3 of Portland voters would support a ballot measure requiring the city to maintain a police force at the same scale as other large U.S. cities, meaning doubling the number of sworn officers in Portland. Downtown property owner Greg Goodman and Calbag Metals CEO Warren Rosenfeld, among other business interests, paid DHM Research to poll 600 voters in early April, a poll that showed 69% of those voters would support a ballot measure that would increase our police force. A 2022 examination by Willamette Week of police staffing showed that Portland ranked near the bottom in police officers per capita. Portland has 1.2 officers for every 1,000 people in the city, half the national average of 2.4 officers, and well below the median figure among the nation's 50 largest cities, which is 1.8 officers.
2. Oh, unbelievable hitting the post. Very nice. Yeah, I mean, we are just sort of hitting the 5-year anniversary of the murder of George Floyd and the protests. What a difference 5 years makes in Portland.
Right?
Holy moly. Yeah.
But also, I just want to know who these 600 voters were. And also the fact that it was business interests that paid for the poll. You know, DHM Research is supposed to be nonpartisan, whatever. But I'm always just like, who did you ask?
Yeah.
Was it your cousin?
Yeah.
Did you ask your Republican cousin?
600 cousins agree. Yeah.
Well, also doubling the staff budget would require eliminating so many other services, and we'd have to raise taxes. And nobody wants that. Like, people are so far have already been yelling, like, there's too many taxes. So I just don't understand how this would work. But I did not know the difference between how many officers we have and most major cities were. Like, that's kind of significant. So,
yeah. Well,
yeah, I don't know. A lot to think there, John.
Whatever, poll.
Are you mad at the poll?
I am.
You're like, I'm feeling conflicted, poll. All right, well, let's take a quick break here. And when we come back, we're digging into our mailbag. Paint Care has 3 simple rules to help you paint smarter. 1, buy only what you need. Determining the right amount of paint for your next project can be tricky, but tips like measuring your space and asking your local paint store for advice will help ensure you have enough for your project while minimizing waste. 2, use up what you have. Look around your house and find simple DIY projects where you can use up your paint. Or you could give away your leftover paint to friends, neighbors, or community groups who could benefit from it. 3, recycle the rest at convenient locations like your neighborhood paint store. Paint Care even offers direct pickups for households and businesses with more than 100 gallons of leftover paint. Learn more or find a paint drop-off site near you at paintcare.org/3simplerules.
Are you still quoting 30-year-old movies? Have you said cool beans in the past 90 days? Do you think Discover isn't widely accepted? If this sounds like you, you're stuck in the past. Discover is accepted at 99% of places that take credit cards nationwide. And every time you make a purchase with your card, you automatically earn cash back. Welcome to the now. It pays to Discover. Learn more at discover.com/creditcard, based on the February 2024 Nielsen report.
All right, Claudia. Well, before we get into the mailbag, I did want to take another minute to talk about this spring membership campaign, because for me, one of the most fun parts of this is hearing from people who are joining as CityCast Portland neighbors and their reasons for it. So is it okay if I throw a few at you?
Sure.
So Laura D signed up. This is what Laura had to say. My coworker recommended me this show last fall, and I've been hooked ever since. I listen every morning, and it's such a breath of fresh air. My favorite part is the relationship between Claudia, John, and Julia. Oh, that's us. You guys crack me up. I couldn't make it to 503 Day, but I love what you're doing for the city. We need this now more than ever, which I just thought was really sweet.
That is really sweet.
Yeah.
Little do they know that we all secretly hate each other.
Oh, don't tell them. We gotta keep it a secret.
Imagine. Sorry, we all arrived to our podcast studio in our own bus. I'm just thinking of the Rolling Stones.
Actually have plans to hang out after work tonight. Yeah, we hate each other.
Julia just wrote, "Lol, I hate you guys." See you at 6 p.m. tonight.
All right. We also heard from Lauren B. This is what Lauren said. I'm a fairly recent transplant to Portland. I started listening to CityCast right when I moved here to try and become more involved and informed. It has been a regular part of my morning routine to listen to Claudia et al. And it has really been important to me learning about my new home and knowing about community events, newsworthy stories, and places to enjoy with my husband. So,
Aw.
yeah, Laura D, Lauren B, I agree with you. Thank you so much. Claudia, I got a bonus one I got to throw at you. This is from Iris P, who joined the membership program. Kept it short, sweet, and honest. I kind of got guilted into it, I guess, but I do like the mission.
Sorry, Iris.
Lauren D, Lauren B, Iris P. Thank you so much for becoming CityCast Portland neighbors. You can also join today if you're out there listening. $10 a month. Go to membership.citycast.fm. That's membership.citycast.fm.
And they can't even see my sad puppy dog eyes, too. Iris, you would have caved first pitch, I tell you what. All right, you want to jump into the mailbag? Let's see.
Yeah. Do you want to kick it off?
Sure. All right. This one is from a listener, Chris C. Subject, Fridays per behavior fee. If you remember, this was my opening question, John, when I was saying, what else should we have the city tax us on?
Yeah.
Because we were discussing the vacancy tax. Okay. This is what Chris wrote. Okay, so I moved here from Atlanta last year, and I think y'all totally softballed the question of what Portland common behavior deserves a fee, because there is one glaring problem, and that is left lane campers. Granted, I do hail from a, shall we say, speeding city, but I gotta say, at least we know keep right unless passing means left lanes for fast boys. And Portlanders, bless their precious hearts, this is a southern fucking smackdown, I'll tell you what, really do not know which lane is appropriate. So I would think our fair city should gain a fat stack of revenue for placing fees on the Subarus, Camrys, and believe in nice license plate frames who decide the left lane is for the speed limit and end up raising the blood pressure of anyone who's trying to get anywhere in a timely manner. In all seriousness, I've never had to pass on the right more than last year, but I do love the Rose City and its precious people who are dedicated to keeping traffic slow. That's all, y'all. Thanks to the promise of a mug, I became a neighbor this week because this podcast has really helped me settle into my home and get up to speed on current affairs more than anything else here. Isn't that sweet?
It's very sweet. Around 503 Day, our newsletter editor, Rachel Monahan, did a contest of the best Portland bumper sticker. I think left lanes for fast boys should be the defining Portland bumper sticker. We should slap one on every car in this city.
I gotta say, I have family in Atlanta, and like, no diss to Chris, but the joke that we have when we go visit Atlanta is count the car accidents, because y'all can't drive.
All right, so I've got one from Ezra H. You might recall we had City Councilor Jamie Dunphy on recently talking about the idea of a vacancy tax. And we knew that this would be a potentially controversial idea. And we definitely had some people writing in that really didn't agree with the idea. So Ezra is an attorney, and here's what he had to say. My clients and those in the residential development world are almost universally dismayed and horrified at Councilor Dunphy's proposal. The concept of a vacancy tax suffers from several major flaws, and he had a lot to say. So I'm going to go ahead and do my best at summarizing what Ezra had to say. Suggested that a lot of commercial space in the city was built in response to city requirements, not of like actual builder choice. That the tax would be difficult to administer, not an unfair point, that the proposal doesn't actually address underlying issues, that it would actually create less new development, and that the demonization of out-of-state money is misplaced. So yeah, strong voice opposing the idea of a vacancy tax. What do you think, Claudia?
Ezra did say, he's like, can I just bring up the arts tax as a rebuttal? And I was like, you know what? That's all you had to say, Ezra. Like, there was a lot of fine points, but he's just like, do you remember the arts tax? And I was like, I do remember the arts tax. I do. I voted for it, and I do remember. But yeah, I mean, if you're just like, I didn't like that podcast because you guys were talking nonsense about vacancy tax, reach out to City Councilor Jamie Dunphy. He is looking for these types of responses because he is weighing all the pros and what's the opposite of a pros?
The cons?
The cons? He's weighing all the pros and the cons. That's how positive I am. I'm like, what is that negative word I've never thought of once in my life?
that I've never said.
So go for it. Yeah. This one is also tax related. We got 2 notes from listeners reminding me, Claudia Meza, that renters actually also pay property taxes because it's sewed into their rent. Babs wrote, I feel the property rent rise basically directly as I pay my yearly property taxes, but I know that I'm merely passing through tax money from anyone renting a space in our backyard for their tiny home. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
I feel like
that like she has a property, but like also has a renter. So like,
yeah,
the
exactly.
renter is a part of,
Yeah. And David P. basically wanted to say, it's a small distinction, but I think it's an important one, especially for listeners who rent and may not realize how these policies affect them too. Regardless if you own or rent, property taxes impact a much broader set of voters than Claudia believes. And then he thanked us for the great content and thoughtful coverage, which I'm going to say because I thought that was sweet.
Aww.
But yeah, and just so you guys know, I know that renters are paying property owners taxes, but they're basically saying like, hey, don't forget renters, and essentially saying that higher property taxes eventually do raise rents. There's a lot of studies that are showing that. So just something to also think about renters.
Yeah.
When you vote for property taxes and you're just like, not me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, and Claudia, something that we've talked about is, we talk about taxes in bits and bobs on the show a lot, but we've never really done a sort of 1,000-foot view of all the ways that Oregon's taxes make sense and don't make sense. And I think at some point we should do that on the show. Yeah. An episode of like, what's the deal with taxes in Portland? How do they make sense?
That's the title right there.
And yeah.
What's the deal with
taxes in Portland?
We're going to get Jerry Seinfeld to be our guest. We're just going to ask him about taxes.
All right. Well, I want to bring in one more message from Martin D., who had a good point about why Martin joined as a neighbor. Martin said, stumbled across your podcast. Wow, it's really good. Authentic, irreverent, informed. I'm hooked. I just wanted to share that you earned my membership. Keep up the good work. Our city needs this.
Aw,
thank you, Martin. I want to take a minute and shout out a bunch of other CityCast Portland neighbors that have joined in the past few days. Catherine K., Laura S., Julia S., Reggie W., Susan M., Joan M., Christopher S., Miguel S., Win F., Dan W., Elizabeth B., Max F., Aaron C., thank you so, so much. And again, if you haven't joined, we would like to invite you, become a CityCast Portland neighbor. You can do it right now at membership.citycast.fm.
Really quick, though, I also want to shout out Reggie W., who joined for Rip City Remix. So we have Rip City Remix as a member, which I think is really cool. They were also part of our 503 Day. So just a shout out to Reggie W. and Rip City Remix.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, John, for hanging out with me this morning. I really love our timed headlines. I don't know if our listeners are just like, that's too fast. I feel like it's the left lane for delivering news,
Exactly. Fast boys in the left. I don't know. I got nothing there. Thanks, Claudia.
I got nothing. That's all for today here on CityCast Portland. Thanks so much for listening. If you enjoyed the show, please share it with a friend, rate or leave us a review. It really does help us out. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more from around the city. Until then, see you at Slim's.